Today is June 17th, and on this single date, a president fell, a legend was exhumed, a football hero became a fugitive, the world's most beautiful building was born from grief, and a battle was lost that somehow still won a revolution. 5 stories, 1 date. Let's go. It was 2 a.m. when a security guard named Frank Wills noticed a piece of tape on a door latch at the Watergate complex in Washington, D.C. He almost ignored it. Instead, he called the police. Inside, 5 men were caught with surveillance equipment, thousands in cash, and surgical gloves. They weren't random criminals. One was a former CIA agent directly tied to the White House. The official story was they were fixing a broken wiretap, but what they were actually looking for has never been fully explained. Some investigators believe the real target wasn't political documents at all, but something far more personal to people in power. President Nixon won re-election 5 months later by a landslide, and then systematically destroyed himself trying to bury what happened on this night. He became the only U.S. president ever to resign. Frank Wills, the man who started it all, died nearly broke in 2000. Almost no one came to his funeral. On June 17, 1991, the body of the 12th President of the United States, Zachary Taylor, was dug up from his grave. Taylor had died suddenly in 1850, just 16 months into his presidency, after attending a 4th of July ceremony. Within days, he went from perfectly healthy to dead. For nearly 150 years, historians quietly asked the same question: was he poisoned? His remains were tested for arsenic. The result came back negative, natural causes. But the fact that the question was serious enough to exhume a president after 141 years tells you something about how suspicious his death always seemed to those who studied it. He had made powerful enemies with his stance on slavery just before he died. The timing was almost too convenient. June 17, 1994. 95 million Americans were watching television when a white Ford Bronco drove slowly down a Los Angeles freeway, police cars trailing behind, helicopters circling above. Inside was O.J. Simpson, football legend, actor, American icon, wanted for the murders of his ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ron Goldman. He had a passport, he had cash, he had a gun, and he left a note that read like a goodbye. For an hour, the country watched in silence. He didn't run, he didn't flee the country, he surrendered at his own home, in his own driveway. The trial that followed became the most watched in American history. He was acquitted, and the question of what truly happened that night in June 1994 still divides people to this day. On June 17, 1631, a woman named Taj Mahal died giving birth to her 14th child. She was the beloved wife of Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan, and her death broke him in ways that history rarely records about powerful men. He stopped eating, he stopped sleeping, his hair reportedly turned white within weeks. What he built in her memory took 22 years and 20,000 workers to complete. You know it as the Taj Mahal, but here is what most people don't know. Shah Jahan planned to build an identical mausoleum for himself across the river, entirely in black marble, connected to the white one by a bridge. He never finished it. His own son imprisoned him before he could. He spent his final years under house arrest, able to see the Taj Mahal only through a small mirror from his cell. He died looking at her reflection. June 17, 1775. The Battle of Bunker Hill. The Americans lost. British forces stormed the hill. The colonial militia ran out of ammunition and retreated. By every military measure, it was a British victory. And yet, the British lost over 1,000 men that day, nearly 40% of their entire force. The colonial fighters, who were mostly farmers with almost no military training, had held their ground for 2 full assaults before retreating on the 3rd. The British technically won the hill, but they never psychologically recovered from what it cost them. A senior British officer wrote home that night, "If we have 8 more such victories, there will be nobody left to bring the news of them." It was a defeat that proved the revolution was real.
5 events, 1 date. And every single one of them proves that history's biggest moments are usually decided by the smallest details. A piece of tape, a midnight craving, a mirror, 1 letter carved into a tree.